Yo, what is going on? Cover One Crew, welcome back to the show. Everybody's doing good as always. I'm always awesome because we're talking football, and we're talking week number 2 on Fantasy Football Start Sit Lineup Advice. It is a big week. Try not to be overreactive to the things that happened in week 1 because that's the easiest way to continue to lose if you did drop your first contest. We will try to steer you away from that side. Let's get those dubs, and if you're 1-0, let's keep this thing going. 2-0 this week. Let's start rapid fire. You guys know the drill. Every team, every player, let's go. Arizona Cardinals taking on these Carolina Panthers, and both teams didn't necessarily look overly fantastic last week, but at least, you know, Kyler Murray and company, they were able to move the football. What did I tell you all about Marvin Harrison Jr. last week? It was time to unleash the cat, and they absolutely did. I guess the bird in this case, but I mean, they unleashed a Marvin Harrison, which was very nice. 15 points on the contest in week 1. Hopefully that's a sign of things to come, man. Trey McBride and a Marvin Harrison Jr. should dominate continuously this season in targets until a defense figures out how to stifle these gentlemen. So Kyler Murray, low-level risk, 18 points last week. Should be a very similar stat line, if not better. Hopefully we don't get a Kyler Murray turnover fest, and he just continues to play ball. Still doing some very strange things on the field. You want to see that killer instinct continue to grow for Kyler Murray. Low-level risk, firing him up. James Conner, he still got you 12 points. Decent enough for us. Low-level risk. He's going to still continue to get the volume for this offense, but like I mentioned to you guys all offseason, Trey Benson is going to start getting some touches as well. Try to keep a James Conner healthy. 8 points for Benson. This could also increase if they continue this multifaceted backfield, which I 100% believe they will. Marvin Harrison Jr., low-level risk, fire him up again versus these Carolina Panthers. J.C. Horn, I get it. It's going to be a tough battle, but I still believe Marvin Harrison is starting to turn that corner, and he will continue to repay us in a very big way. Michael Wilson, high-level risk. Zay Jones, high-level risk, not touching it. This offense doesn't necessarily utilize secondary pieces, and that's fine, but Trey McBride, low-level risk, only under 10 points last week, but still enough to get us what we require at the tight end spot. Low-level risk, obviously fire him up everywhere you got him. Dirty Birds, Atlanta Falcons taking on the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday Night Football. Michael Penix Jr., he looked good, and I mean, okay, some rushing upside for a guy who's not necessarily typically thought of as being a rushing quarterback. He got you 24 points. A lot of it was passing upside, but he did run for a TD as well. I think he's a low-level risk start in this contest as well. He is moving in the right direction. The biggest question mark is a Drake London. Yes, he is off the injury report. Yes, I still have him as an injury risk designation, but it is in the green. They say he's good to go. We're firing up a Drake London everywhere we got him, but it just does concern me because if he lands on that shoulder weird or wrong, I mean, they could pull him again in the contest, and we're going to lose those top-end points like we did last week as well. So Drake London, because he's playing, we got to suit him up, but definitely be wary of that. Bijan Robinson, low-level risk. We're obviously firing him up, even though the Vikings defense does very well versus the run, and they should come after this Falcons team, especially with Michael Penix being the younger, youthful quarterback. They're going to try to pressure this man quite a bit in this contest. Darnell Mooney's off the injury report. He's back. PPR upside in the mid-level. Don't dislike it at a flex play, wide receiver 3 type of play this week, but it is going to be difficult to trust. I do believe that if Mooney does, so if Drake London is not necessarily 100%, Mooney could have a very strong day. So that's why I'm saying flex option and flex appeal is definitely here all day long. Ray McLeod, low floor. Now that Mooney's back, he's just going to be relegated to that gadget role. And what I say about Kyle Pitts last week, I said I couldn't put him up to a low-level risk. He still got you almost 10 points in half PBR. Still a good week, man. So hopefully they start to utilize Kyle Pitts that much more, and this becomes the standard. I wasn't willing to give up on Kyle Pitts just yet, even though it is, like I said, my last season of support. If he fails us, I'm done with Kyle Pitts, but so far, good start. I don't dislike the play of a Kyle Pitts in week number 2. Baltimore Ravens taking on these Cleveland Brownies, Lamar Jackson and company. You're welcome. We got Josh Allen. You're welcome. And I'm going to rub it in. Sorry, Bills fan over here, but Lamar played very well. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens issue is that they don't have that killer instinct as well, always dropping big leads. It's very Baltimore-esque against these top-tier teams. Lamar Jackson still had a very sound game, very strong offensive punch between him and Derrick Henry. Once again, like last season, you fire up Lamar, you fire up Derrick Henry. Everywhere you got him on the low-level risk, basically every week until further notice, but these guys are absolutely dynamos, man. 29.4 and 28.7 points respectively for both these guys. They are too damn good, man. Justice Hill, high-level risk, not touching it. Zay Flowers did impress, and I do like the fact that they were peppering him with targets and opportunities, and he did make it happen in the end zone as well. Low-level risk for Zay Flowers right now because I do believe they're starting to turn that corner to suggest who is the number one wide receiver, should be the number one wide receiver on this offense in Baltimore. Coach Harbaugh and company are finally utilizing Zay the way he should be played. He is the game breaker. He's got the speed, the wheels, and I think we could play him this week on a low-level risk. Rashad Bateman, low floor in the red. This is going to be that yo-yo effect every single week for this man. If he plays this week and he gets 12 points to 15 points, everyone's going to say, oh, we got to play him. The next 2 weeks after that, he's going to get you 2 and 5. Like, that's just how it works with Bateman. So you just got to understand the matchup play. I do like the Cleveland Browns defense quite a bit. We saw what they were able to do to a Joey B last week. So definitely be careful with a Rashad Bateman. Where DeAndre Hopkins, like I said, he had TD floor last week in the red. This week he's up to mid-level because once he gets some more chemistry with a Lamar Jackson, what a toss and what a catch for a D-Hop in the end zone. TD floor, once he gets more targets, D-Hop is not washed. He's on the latter stages of his career, but he could be a fantasy relevant player for us after weeks, I want to say 3 to 6, but it definitely is warranting right now to start looking in his direction. At least get him on your bench as a bench stash wide receiver right now. Mark Andrews crapped the bed for us last week. Definitely made me look foolish as I was promoting the man, and they did not utilize him whatsoever in this last game. Perhaps they do give him some more sprinkles this week, but I do want to say it's mid-level risk rather than anything else. Pick your poison. If you got a better tight end option, take it. If you don't, Mark Andrews, he should improve from what he did last week because Isaiah Likely is once again missing with a foot injury. Buffalo Bills Mafia, what a comeback it was versus those Ravens taking on these New York Jets. Josh Allen, baby, fire this man up, Mr. MVP. Everywhere you got him. I don't even think I got to explain. You guys understand everything I've been saying about Josh for many years. He is one of the best, if not the best quarterback in all of the NFL at this point, man. James Cook, like I was saying, man, without a contract, I was fearful. With the contract, I'm all in on a James Cook like I've always been. Low-level risk, fire him up. The Bills offense goes through a Josh Allen and a James Cook. Now with turning the corner as a potential third option as stellar elite, potential elite status. I'm not going to coin the man just yet, but Keon Coleman, good upside in the green as well. We fire up Keon everywhere we got him. There is a dedicated fact to feed him the football, and we got some luck on that tip pass as well, but I don't give a crap, man. It's fantasy football. Wherever we get the points, we will take them, and Keon definitely looks the part as well as he is starting to grow into the role that everybody in Buffalo had hoped he was. Keon Coleman, James Cook, fire them up everywhere he got him. Khalil Shakir, coming off that ankle injury, he was no worse for wear, got you a good 9.4 points. That's decent enough for low-end wide receiver 3 numbers. I don't dislike it this week as well. He's going to be, at least looked upon, but it's one of those situations where Khalil Shakir and a Dalton Kincaid will be fighting for those secondary targets in the PPR upside game, where this week I do like Dalton Kincaid more than a Khalil Shakir. So if you have it, I don't dislike playing it. Would suggest a better option for Khalil Shakir. If you have it, take it and play a Dalton Kincaid with a low-level risk, or a Josh Palmer, PPR floor on the mid-level. He's going to be one of those secondary players that's going to be called upon in important situations, or if the game is out of hand, they will start utilizing him. That's going to be kind of his role until further notice. And Elijah Moore, do not like it, do not touch it at this point. High-level risk because he is the redundancy to a Khalil Shakir. Carolina Panthers taking on these Arizona Cardinals. Bryce Young and company, they did not look great offensively overall. There were, again, some, snippets of potentiality of upside, and that guy is Ted McMillan, man. Bryce Young, mid-level risk, not touching it this week on the start sit because it's just not near good enough for us to get a lot of points, man. Even in Superflex, I'm looking in other directions this week, even versus these Cardinals, man. Will Johnson is no joke at the defensive spot for an Arizona Cardinal team, man. Chuba Hubbard, low-level risk. Fire him up, man. 16.4 points. This guy is Mr. Automatic when it comes to running the football and making plays. He should be able to at least carry the load quite a bit in this offense once again. Rico Suave, Rico Dwaddle, low floor. And then we'll see what else they do end up doing. I want to see Trevor Etienne get on the field at some point. He could be a very sound secondary running back for this Carolina Panthers team. Ted McMillan, boom, upside in the green. You saw that one-handed grab. This is everything I was preaching about this young man coming out of college. He's got so much ability for days. Just put the ball in his direction, and he's going to make a catch. And you saw exactly what I was talking about last week with that crazy one-hander he made. Boom, upside, definitely on the docket for a Ted McMillan. I'm definitely playing him this week. Xavier Legette and a Hunter Renfrow, high-level risk for me until they start utilizing all of their weapons on this offense. We cannot touch it at this point. Until Bryce Young, gets back to that good levels that we're looking for, I'm not touching these secondary pieces whatsoever. Likewise with the Jatavion Sanders, so much skill, so much ability. Bryce Young just got to find him. We are not touching these guys this week. Chicago Bears taking on the Detroit Lions, and this is a coach revenge game for Ben Johnson coming back to these Lions. Excuse me, Caleb Williams. Okay, you know what it is? The first 15 plays of that game was scripted by Ben Johnson and executed perfectly by Caleb Williams. That's what we're looking for, man. That crazy hip torque on the rollout to the right made a freaking absolute rifle to his wide receiver. This is the Caleb Williams that we see on tape, but then as the game does progress, as the game does wear on, it's almost like he can't adjust to what the defense is doing. Caleb has a good floor on the mid-level risk. He got you 24 points last week, due in part to that rushing upside as well, and the late score to Aroma Dunzier, but at this point, as a football player, watching the game as your favorite team, you got a lot of concerns for Caleb Williams. You're hoping that at least he can continue to figure it out, but there's so many issues in his game right now. Not progressing the field, slow eyes. At least we saw some elusive ability better than last year, but again, holding the football too long. Looks scared to throw over the middle, mid-range to deep. It just is not a good situation for Caleb. Playing scared, playing off. I don't know what it is. It's so difficult to dissect as I continue to watch his film. Footwork is still a problem. Overthrowing, overshooting, underthrowing wide receivers, still a very big problem, but 24 points I think might be an anomaly, and this week these Lions should come after him with the bum rush, man. DeAndre Swift, he's got a revenge game of his own coming up back against his former team in these Detroit Lions in the mid-level risk. This Lions, defensive front should at least be able to stymie this run game as well, put a lot of pressure on Caleb Williams, and they should be able to come out with the victory, in my opinion. DeAndre Swift may be able to break free. If you got better options, take him. Mid-level revenge game. Would love to say it's a low-level risk, but versus Detroit Lions front seven, it's not a low-level risk play whatsoever. Roschon should be back this week, as well as Monungai. He was not necessarily great. I believe I pronounced his name correctly this week. 2 points for me, but volume floor for a Roschon. They want to do it. Ben Johnson wants to recreate what he had in Detroit with a Monty and Gibby show, do a Swift and Roschon show. We'll see if it does take any shape or form. I'm not touching him this week in fantasy football. DJ Moore went down with a big hit last week. He's good to go, not on the injury report. Good floor for him as well. He is still the primary target in this offense, which is good news for us. That 7 points could have easily been 15-17 had he got that touchdown Caleb overthrew as well. I think there was a couple of them that he overthrew on him. Good floor for a DJ Moore this week as well versus Detroit Lions. Roma Dunzier catches a late minute touchdown pass from a Caleb. Right now, he's mid-level risk. I'm still not trusting it until we get more from Caleb, where Luther Burden is on the target floor in the red. We're not touching it at this point. Likewise with a Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland. High-level risk for both these gentlemen. I do not like it. Will not play it this week. Cincinnati Bengals versus Jacksonville Jaguars. Joey B and company did not look nice. They were stymied all over that field by that Cleveland Brownies defense, which is extremely solid, man. Myles Garrett looked like a man possessed, going after Joey B, tossing him around like a rag doll. Bounce back week this week versus these Jaguars, where the defense isn't necessarily, top end heavy for these Jags. Bounce back week for Joey B. You got to believe it is coming. Where Chase Brown, low-level risk, fire him up everywhere he got him. Volume upside, PPR upside for days, and not much usage from his backup running backs at this point. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Chase absolutely let us down. And see, I'm not going to sit here and do a victory lap already and say this is why I tell people to pick your running backs in the first round over wide receivers. Running backs touch the ball way more than wide receivers, and the percentages of your upside in getting those points still exists in today's fantasy football with running backs. Not going to sit here and tell you Jamar Chase isn't an absolute superstar, best wide receiver in the league, because that's what he is. But 3.6 points just absolutely crippled a lot of y'all that took him number one overall, and that is the issue, right? So if you don't have good depth to carry this, Jamar's going to bounce back. There is no question in my mind, but it's those types of games that will cripple you. Not to suggest a running back can't do the same to you, but at least they get the volume upside where, the Bengals just did not look good last week. And Jamar Chase, I got low-level risk. Big-time bounce back for him this week as well. T. Higgins on the low-level risk versus Jags. We heard that Travis Hunter may be playing some more defensive back this week, so I do like like the play of a T. Higgins as well. Pull some more coverage. Joey B's just got to get back on the same page. All these guys got their money. It's time to start putting it back on the field when you're making a lot of points. Andrei Iosivas, we're not touching high-level risk this week. Likewise, with a Mike Gesicki, TD floor is definitely here where we could see a touchdown coming from a Gesicki where they got to spread the football around just a little bit more. But I'm not comfortable playing that this week. I do believe there are better options at the tight end spot. Cleveland Brownies taking on these Baltimore Ravens. Joe Flacco, something of a revenge game as well, going up against his former team once again. Mid-level risk, 14.2 points. Was able to at least move this offense decently well. There were some turnovers, tip passes from his wide receivers on those drop balls. Joe Flacco looked okay. I mean, what are we going to expect for a guy's in his 40s playing, just off the couch and trying to do stuff? Like, it's Joe Flacco. It's time, man. The career is ending for him, but mid-level risk. If you're stuck at quarterback at the super flex position, playing against Baltimore is probably not the best situation you want to do, but he should be able to give you roughly a very similar stat line that he had last week, minus potential interceptions. Jerome Ford, high-level risk for me, not touching it, where a Dylan Sampson is the mid-level risk, and you're seeing this changeover in the guard when it comes to these Cleveland Browns and how they want to utilize their running back room, man. Quinshon Judkins, he is out of this contest, still coming back from his lack of training camp, so, I mean, potentially week 3, week 4, we should see a Q Judkins on the field, but Dylan Sampson absolutely showed that he is that guy as well, can carry a lot of the load and make a lot of plays. 13.3 points and a boom game last week for a Dylan Sampson. Absolutely like it. And where the hell did Rocket Sanders come from, right? Who is this guy? He's South Carolina product, excuse me. And I mean, he's got some skills, got some abilities as well. So right now, Ford is starting to get, worse when it comes to being valued on this team. And the coaching staff looks to be going to the youth movement at the running back spot. Dylan Sampson, then probably Rocket Sanders, and then a Jerome Ford in that order of rank. Jerry Jeudy, PPR floor on the mid-level risk. They will try everything to take him away in this contest. I do not like the start, even though the Ravens did not play very well versus the Bills. As the game wore on, the defense gave up a lot of big plays, but that's Josh Allen. This is Joe Flacco, man. So Jerry Jeudy, if you got better options, I would take him this week, even though he is on a PPR floor, mid-level risk. Cedric Tillman is the one in this offense that I would actually think about playing because the TD upside is definitely here for this man. And I mean, going deep to this man, jump ball opportunity is there as well. Cedric Tillman is one of these ascending wide receivers that we can absolutely get on board with, and I do like the TD upside in the green, man. Jamari Thrash, high-level risk, do not like it. David Njoku and Harold Fannin Jr., and this is what I was saying, man, criticized in the comments before the season began where I didn't have David Njoku ranked as high as some people would have wanted, and I told y'all, man, it's because of Harold Fannin Jr. You're talking about a tight end in college football, 117 receptions in that season for mass yardage. This guy is absolutely going to be potentially one of the great tight ends in this league if he continues to move forward. I'm not going to anoint him just yet, but he's got so much skill, so much ability, and there could be, like I said, man, more 12-man personnel in this offense, more opportunity for Harold Fannin because he can get down the field. And they're fearful of David Njoku always going to the medical room. Fannin Jr. is one of these guys. I got good upside for Fannin where I got a mid-level risk for Njoku, but these guys should be able to at least produce together at some point. But Fannin's got that TD upside for days, and I absolutely love the play of a Fannin in the coming weeks. This week, it's good upside, but it still is risk-reward. There could be a 0 on your scoreboard, but there could be another 10 points coming from a Harold Fannin Jr. Dallas Cowboys taking on the New York Giants. Dak Prescott, I was super promotive of you last week, and you burned me, and that's a mistake on me, but we got to also understand that the TDs were there. They were dropped opportunities. CeeDee Lamb dropping passes. George Pickens being basically molested on the field when it came to the defensive back. Things didn't work out chemistry-wise that the Cowboys could have had a greater score, and Dak Prescott could have had way better stats. This week versus the Giants, bounce back game in the green for Dak. I'm going back to the well, and I'm saying we can play Dak Prescott as they should be able to score more points through the air than what they showed in week number 1. Javonte Williams was my biggest sleeper running back coming into this season. Got you only, almost 20 points last week? Booyah, baby. That's what we're talking about. I'm taking early victory laps on this one because Vontae is one of these dudes, man. He's coming off that ACL 2 years ago, needed a full, 2 seasons basically to look like himself again. They're going to continue to ride this man, and he's going to do very well in this sense. Good upside in the mid-level risk. There will be regression because he did score those 2 touchdowns, but I'm telling y'all, Javonte is one of these guys as your third running back is absolutely stellar value, and it's going to continue. Jaden Blue, the blueprint, baby. He's on the PBR floor on the high-level risk this week. He did not suit up in week number 1. They said he was a healthy scratch, but I don't buy that for a second. I think that he was dealing still with that ankle injury from the preseason, and they called him a healthy scratch. Big deal, whatever. Now it's week number 2. Jaden Blue, once they start getting this man involved in the pass game, you're going to understand why I'm so bullish on this man as well. Speed for days, hands for days, and he is a playmaker in the making. Jaden Blue right now, keep him on the bench, but watch for some highlight ability if he does make it on the field. CeeDee Lamb, low-level risk, was on the jugs machine after he dropped all those passes, working on his hands. Fire him up everywhere you got him as well. George Pickens on the mid-level risk, I'm going to suggest fire him up as well, not only because it was a good showing, it just didn't translate in execution. I think the opportunities will continue to be there, and this offense should be able to start humming very, very soon. Fire up a George Pickens, but I'm going to downgrade him to a mid-level risk this week. Jalen Tolbert, high-level risk, not touching it. Jake Ferguson on the mid-level risk, not even 5 points last week. So if you got better options at Ferguson, I think I would take him this week as well. Denver Broncos taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Okay, the battle of the horses, man. Bo Nix, low-level risk for me. Yes, he did not look great. Turnovers were an issue last week. Offensive line issues were present. Did not run the football near enough as they should have. Bo Nix only 8.8 points. This is a big-time bounce-back week. Defensive back injuries for the Indianapolis Colts is why I'm also suggesting a low-level risk for a Bo Nix. This could be a good showing for him to bounce back in. But, I mean, if he again stumbles in week number 2, it's going to be some caution flags coming from me on Mr. Bo Nix. J.K. Dobbins, mid-level risk. I'm firing him up everywhere we got him as well. He looked good, found some room to gallop through and found his way into the end zone. Likewise with R.J. Harvey. This is what I wanted to see. How will they utilize this backfield? And Harvey looked good, man. There was that one cutback that he did onto through the tackle and the guard, and, oh, man, his footwork was absolutely stellar on that play. R.J. Harvey definitely is one of these guys. Could continue to rise in this backfield. Do I ever think he's going to take over full on the, volume this season? Probably not, barring health issues to J.K. Dobbins. It should be a full-time split. Cortland Sutton, low-level risk, the only trusted wide receiver that we can play week in, week out on this offense. Low-level risk, fire him up everywhere you got him. Him and Bo Nix definitely got some good chemistry. Marvin Mims, Jr., high-level risk, not touching it. Where Troy Franklin hopefully is who's going to be the secondary guy? I don't think there is going to be one. I think it's just going to be a pick-your-poison, mix-and-match type of situation. Franklin, mid-level risk this week as a defensive back. Troubles could make him go deep this week and catch a touchdown. Pat Bryant, not much was happening for him in week 1. High-level risk, keeping him on the bench. Where Evan Ingram, he was not on the injury report, which was surprising. I'm still going to caution it with an injury risk because he left that contest, did not come back, and he didn't practice much this week. So I'm telling y'all, injury risk on the mid-level risk for me. But, I mean, there is upside here if he does suit up. But just, play cautious. If you have him and you play him, I understand. But, I mean, if he could tweaks that again, you're going to lose out on points as well. So maybe there are better options. But if you got an Evan Ingram, I understand firing him up this week as well. Detroit Lions taking on the Chicago Bears. Okay, like I said, man, this is a big contest for Ben Johnson. Wants to prove to his former club that he is that dude. These Lions looked in first gear last week and could not get out of their own way. Jared Goff looked pitiful. The run game was being stopped by those Green Bay Packers, but it is a Packers defense that absolutely looks legit even more with Micah Parsons. They look so damn good. Jared Goff, mid-level risk. I think, you could utilize him this week on a bounce back, but it's probably going to take about 4 games for this team to understand the new system and start to iron things out to make it that high-octane unit that we are used to. I would look in other directions than a Jared Goff. Jahmyr Gibbs, low-level risk, 10 points. He had so many catches. What do you have, 10 catches last week? He's going to give you a safe floor. We got to fire him up everywhere we got him no matter what. We're a David Montgomery, Monty. I'm going to fire him up again. TD upside on the mid-level risk. Get back to the ground and pound. Get back to what made you guys successful. The play-action pass set up from all the running upside. David Montgomery, TD upside on the mid-level risk. I think he finds his way into that end zone this week as well. They got to get back to the ground and pound. Excuse me, I think that is absolutely imperative for this Detroit Lions team. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, definitely everybody took a haircut last week. I'm calling low-level risk for Amon-Ra. Just get back to basics, what made you guys special these past 2 seasons. Amon-Ra, fire him up. Jameson Williams, mid-level risk. Don't like the play this week versus the Bears, even though he should be able to break free from this defense. I'm going to look for potential better options, but I understand if you want to start him. I don't like it 100%, so that's definitely on you. Pick your poison. I'm going to bench a JMO this week, where Isaac Tesla, high-level risk, beautiful catch for a touchdown, just not there yet to support in fantasy football, where Sam Laporta, mid-level risk, he was basically the only consistent spot at this point. We fire up a Sam Laporta everywhere we got him. Houston Texans taking on these Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. It is a doubleheader Monday night. If y'all don't know, CJ Stroud and company did not look good at all, and this was one of these situations without a good offensive line and a piss-poor run game now with no Joe Mixon. Man, this offense could struggle quite a bit this season. Don't like what I see. Under 10 points for CJ Stroud. It just did not look good. That's why I was saying play the LA Rams defense last week, because they come after every quarterback with the rushing upside that they have. Going up against Tampa Bay, they still have a decent defense, enough to make life very difficult for CJ Stroud. I'm going to say bench Stroud this week on the mid-level risk. I do not like it. We're a Nick Chubb, not feeling chubby no more, man. TD dependent, basically. I mean, the speed is gone. The lateral agility is gone. They didn't have much of a run game either, and this is going to continue until Joe Mixon comes back, if he comes back this season at all. Dameon Pierce, again, you can't touch it. Low floor on the high-level risk. Do not like it, will not play it. Nico Collins, TD upside in the green. He definitely did not have a good game last week as well. They got to air it out, man. Go back to the well and see how it does work in this team as well. Nico Collins, TD upside in the green. It's not necessarily a big risk, but again, if CJ Stroud can't get out of his own way, we could see another under 10-point showing for Nico Collins. Jaden Higgins, rookie. Jalen Knoll, rookie. Target upside on the mid-level for Higgins, where Knoll, high-level risk. They tried to get him involved. Both these gentlemen last week just did not materialize into anything special, where a Christian Kirk is dealing with a hamstring. He is on the questionable. May suit up in this contest, but I don't think it'll be anything fantasy relevant either. Where Dalton Schultz, high-level risk. I do not like the play of him either this week. Indianapolis Colts taking on those Denver Broncos, like I'm saying, battle of the horses. Daniel Jones, Daniel Pennies. Oh, man, here's another victory lap for me. Biggest sleeper quarterback I had this offseason was a Danny Pennies. Like I said in my videos, you got to take the good with the bad, man. And this is just how it is with Daniel Jones. He's going to put up 30 points, and then the next week he's going to put up 10 or 8 or whatever, have a bunch of turnovers. This is the next week versus the Denver Broncos defense. You do not want to play a Danny Pennies. If he goes off and surprises me, great. I'd rather have that on my bench than see a goose egg or a plethora of turnovers coming from this man. Even though this offense did look good, it was versus a very pitiful Miami Dolphins team. I'm not playing Danny Pennies this week for better or worse. Jonathan Taylor, JT, volume upside in the green. There is opportunity that they can run on this defense just a little bit with JT. He is that good to at least break free. This offensive line is still stellar, but if they're going to have their hands full with that defensive front of these Broncos, JT's upside is capped at the volume. So the more volume we get, the best we're going to get. If they don't, if they go behind early on these Broncos, we could lose out on a lot of touches for a JT, no question. DJ Giddens, rookie. He is a high-level risk, but you guys see the little sample size we got last week, why I was so hyping this guy a lot. He's got so much ability, and I love his game, but I mean, playing behind somebody like JT, you're never going to be fantasy relevant anyway, so I mean, at this point, he's on my radar, but it is a high-level risk. Josh Downs, we're always down for Downs, but last week was not a good day. 2.2 points. This week, we're going to have to alter the situation where Michael Pittman went off on 17 points last week. He's got a mid-level risk, where I got PPR upside on Josh Downs this week in the green. My assumption is that a Pat Surtain is likely going to, be closer to shadowing a Pittman rather than a Downs. So I'm going to go with a Downs this week for the PPR upside, the dump-offs from a Daniel Jones, where Pittman should get locked up quite handsomely by a PS2. Don't like the play, mid-level risk for a Pittman. A.D. Mitchell, boomer bust continues in the red until proven otherwise. This guy's just being locked up in shackles right now. Let this man play and let him get some passes in his direction. He's got far too talented to be stuck in first gear. Alec Pierce not touching it on the high-level risk, or Tyler Warren, low-level risk, fire him up everywhere he got him. Safety blanket appeal is the name of the game for Daniel Jones this week versus stellar Denver Broncos defense. Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. Trevor Lawrence, Sunshine. Okay, it was not necessarily a great game for Sunshine, but at least they're improving, man. You want to say they got the win. They looked okay. Okay, Brian Thomas had to run a touchdown in because he couldn't get a touchdown catch. We'll take the points, but we got to see a lot better. The best part of this was the Travis Etienne rebound in a very big way. So much that this was the whole story of this offseason with Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, and Bashal Tutin, the rookie. who was going to outperform one of the others to at least get an opportunity to get traded to some other team? This happened and transpired this past week where Tank Bigsby got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now it is undeniable. It is Travis Etienne and it is Bashal Tutin for the backfield 1-2 punch. And Travis Etienne, he didn't go away. Y'all be cussing the man like he sucked. It was just a terrible season, terrible offense last year, terrible coaching. Now we got Travis Etienne, low-level risk, fire him up everywhere he got him. He should continue to dominate the touches in volume, where Tutin's got a volume floor until further notice, but he will get his sprinkles. This man's got 4.3 wheels. You're going to see what I'm talking about when we speak on a Bashal Tutin. Brian Thomas Jr., low-level risk, fire him up. They got to get him more involved. Likewise with the Travis Hunter, but we get it. Rookie, first game in the NFL. You're going to have your ups, you're going to have your downs and your struggles. Hunter is a mid-level risk. I'm going to say versus Cincinnati Bengals defense, you can absolutely play a Brian Thomas Jr. and a Travis Hunter. There should be ample opportunities for Trevor Lawrence to find both these gentlemen high-level upside. So I'm playing both these guys, but I do expect Brian Thomas to have a better game overall than a Travis Hunter. Dyami Brown, target floor, he had 7 points. Deeper leagues, I don't dislike the start. Target floor on the mid-level risk, there should be opportunities for him because everyone's going to be keying in on a Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter. Where Bretton Strange, mid-level risk, what I told y'all, sleeper tight end this week as well. We got him in our last round of our drafts in 12-team leagues, and mid-level risk for me, almost 8 points last week. Very good showing for the tight end. Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Super Bowl rematch. Patrick Mahomes boys in mass danger of going 0-2 for the first time in God knows how long. I don't think he ever has in his career. I'd have to look that up, but I think the Chiefs last time was 2014 that they started 0-4, or 0-2, excuse me. But Patrick Mahomes, he looked good last week, but injuries again. Xavier Worthy is a doubtful. He has been ruled out at this point right now, so no Worthy to suit up against these Eagles, but Patrick Mahomes, low-level risk. He's going to have to put on the cape and be Superman. We could see some turnovers once again because we know the Eagles set him up very well in that Super Bowl. We'll see if they'll be able to do the very similar thing. Mahomes, I'm still going to play versus these Eagles because he will not, he'll do everything he can, I should say, to not go 0-2. Isaiah Pacheco, mid-level risk, play with absolute caution, man. I'm telling y'all right now, against this defensive front with a Jalen Carter back, if he doesn't spit on somebody again, he should be able to play the full game. But Isaiah Pacheco, I don't like the play this week. TD is the only thing going to be saving his day. We're Kareem Hunt, high-level risk at this point. They got to utilize one of these guys, and you saw how they benched a Pacheco as the game did wear on because Kareem Hunt does got better, receiving upside also. So we could see that happen again if the Eagles get out to a big lead. Hollywood Brown taking over for in a Worthy. Absolutely had a peppering of targets. We could fire up a Hollywood everywhere we got him. Almost 15 points last week. Sign me up for that productivity all day long. Juju Smith-Schuster on the mid-level risk. He will see more targets now with Worthy out once again. Jalen Royals, the rookie, is still dealing with his injury on his knee. So it is going to be Hollywood. It is going to be Juju. At least the main cast of characters this week, we could probably play Juju in the flex at some point, but the way the Eagles defense does play, I don't expect a great game for a Juju. Tyquan Thornton, deep upside TD floor for me on the high-level risk, not touching it this week, where Travis Kelce, mid-level risk, only saved his day with a touchdown, like I said last week, which was the issue. Travis Kelce's going to have to, dust off the aging and get back to the old days of Travis Kelce if he can versus this Eagles team because they're definitely going to need him. Play him at your own risk. Los Angeles Chargers taking on the Las Vegas Raiders on Monday Night Football. Justin Herbert, like I said, I'm smitten with this team. And there's so much green going on this week for these Chargers. Big divisional contest once again for them. Fire up a Justin Herbert everywhere he got him. 27 points, baby. Now he's got a receiving core. And if they can get this run game moving in the right direction, it's only going to make this offense move that much better. Omarion Hampton, low-level risk. Fire him up everywhere he got him. I told y'all last week it was a mid-level risk for me. First game in the NFL, you got to crawl before you walk. I think this week they do try to unleash him a little bit more. The defensive front of these Raiders isn't necessarily stout to stop this run game. I do like Omarion Hampton a lot this week, and we could see the rookie get into the end zone for the first time in his career. Najee Harris on the TD floor. It's really going to be the only thing saving his day because you know they want to get Omarion Hampton moving. TD floor not playing Harris this week. Where Lad McConkey, he's a good lad. Low-level risk, fire him up. But the big surprise was a Q Johnston. Is this sustainable? That's the biggest question mark I think everybody has. Can he continue to repeat this type of productivity? The best part of it that we can suggest is because Keenan Allen is back. Lesser coverage coming to QJ's side. And at least he showcased the fact that if the ball's in the appropriate spot, his brick hands can at least make the catch. He did have a couple drops as well, but 22 points due in part to those 2 TDs he received. You're going to see a regression this week, but I think we can play him this week on the good upside versus the Raiders, and the speed for QJ has never been in question. Just got to get the ball in his hands. He's got to catch the football, and then we can start trusting him. Keenan Allen, old man Keenan's got the beautiful chemistry with a Justin Herbert, man. PPR upside in the green. Fire up Keenan everywhere you got him. He's back home where he belongs, and he looks like a player of old last week, no question. A little bit more weight on his belly, but I'm telling y'all, he still looks good. Trey Harris not playing it until further notice, and Will Disley, PPR floor, high-level risk. And like I said, Ty Conklin outperformed a Will Disley last week. If that continues again this week, I'm dumping a Will Disley on my spot here on Start Sit. And Ty Conklin is the better tight end, in my opinion, should be the starter for this Chargers team. Los Angeles Rams taking on the Tennessee Titans. Matthew Stafford and company. Okay, the thing is, Houston's defense is very strong, and we saw it, man. That secondary is so good with Stingley and Petrie and company and Bullock. They are good, very talented, and they were able to take away Devontae Adams basically to be a non-factor in that contest. Made Matthew Stafford very confused at times, but at least Puka Nacua was having himself a day. So this week, mid-level risk versus Titans defense, that's decent enough. Gave Bo Nix some fits as well. They are in Tennessee, and typically when we see these Rams travel, it is not necessarily a great thing for Matthew Stafford. So I would look in other directions, but I think that we can see at least a different level of supportive pieces coming his way at the wide receiver spot, where Kyren Williams, low-level risk, fire him up everywhere he got him. Blake Corum, we're still not touching it, high-level risk. Puka Nacua, he got a cut on his eye, still balled out to 18 points. Take away his eye, and he's still catching passes, man. Fire a Puka everywhere we got him. Devontae Adams, what do we do with Devontae this week? I'm giving him a green light, baby, on the TD upside. They're gonna force feed this. They're gonna try to get him in the end zone, be a welcome to the LA Rams type of situation. Only 7.1 points last week. Tennessee's got a good defense on the front seven. They can get after the quarterback and they can stifle the run. But I do believe that it's going to be a conscious effort for Sean McVay to get Devontae Adams involved early and often. He should have a very good game this week versus Tennessee Titans. Tutu Atwell, Tyler Higbee, high-level risks. We are not playing these guys this week. Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Chargers, like I'm saying. Monday Night Football. Geno, he looked good, man. Okay, there was some issues with chemistry with some of these guys, but he looked good. And I think, like I said, coming with Pete Carroll, we know what to expect. This is kind of where you're going to be 15 to 20 points each and every week outside of a blow-up contest for Geno. I don't dislike the play. Even though the Chargers defense is good, they are susceptible to giving up some big plays in the pass game. We can play a Geno if you have to this week. Ashton Jeanty, like I said, man, the violent running nature, and this is not college football. Everyone's saying, oh, there's so many broken tackles, blah, blah, blah. I get it. That's Javonte Williams to a T. He was the leading running back coming out of college in his draft year in the FBS for yards after contact and broken tackles. Not saying Jeanty's a bad running back. Everyone's going to be cussing me out for saying this. We can play a Jeanty this week, but temper the expectations because, again, he's going up against a very sound front that is going to come after the quarterback, is going to stop the run. I'm telling y'all, man, it's volume upside is always good. He got massive volume last week and ended up scoring a touchdown. If he didn't have that touchdown, what did he have? 38 yards rushing on the ground. Was not a good day for a Jeanty overall. Hopefully the TD does save his day. That's another reason why we can play him on the volume upside this week in the green. He is a good running back, but it is the NFL. It's not college football, so we got to see this progress in the best of ways. Maybe get him utilized in that pass game a little bit more. Get some PPR upside. Raheem Mostert not touching it this week, where Jacoby Myers, low-level risk. He wanted out of Las Vegas. He said, trade me. They said no, and they peppered him with targets. He had a very good game, and it should be, again, the standard. He should be the wide receiver one at this point for a Geno. We know how Geno was able to support guys like Tyler Lockett and company. He is going to be a safety blanket, especially if a Brock Bowers does sit in this contest. This show is being recorded before I got any further update on a Brock Bowers, so Nia is the questionable. I will update him in the comments on his status as well. If Brock does play, he is a green on the injury risk. If he doesn't, we jack up everybody in this offense. Jacoby Myers, low-level risk. He goes to this very similar levels. Trey Tucker, I would definitely put him in the green on a PPR floor. And Dante Thornton, mid-level risk, he would jump up to very good upside. So that's kind of where we see it with a Brock Bowers if he does sit. If he doesn't, this is what we're doing. Low-level risk for Mayers, PPR floor, mid-level risk for a Tucker. Thornton does have a mid-level risk, potential TD upside, and then Brock Bowers in the green on an injury risk. So it is your pick your poison. If they're going to say that Brock Bowers is playing, we got to fire him up because he is one of the best tight ends in the league with no question. That is. Miami Dolphins taking on the New England Patriots this week. They looked absolutely horrific. Coach McDaniel, is it clear he's lost the locker room? These guys don't want to play for him. Tua looked completely awful and disinterested, took away the first read, and they were able to, take away everybody in this offense. How can you not go back to what worked in the past, man? Tyreek Hill, just 6 points. Jalen Waddle, 5 points. Jalen Waddle's dealing with a hip with a shoulder injury. Darren Waller's out with a hip. We got Jalen Wright on the questionable. Ollie Gordon couldn't even get on the field because the game was so out of hand. Low floor for a Tua Tagovailoa on the mid-level risk, not playing it this week until further notice. Devin off the A-chain, low-level risk, saved his day with a TD. Hopefully that's going to be the case again this week. Volume floor on the high-level risk for an Ollie Gordon. Can't trust it with the way this offense played last week. We got to see improvements before we can trust any extracurricular players on this team. Tyreek Hill, I was hoping for the bounce back. Did not happen. I'm going to play him this week, but I'm definitely expecting it to be hopeful, not a certainty. So that's a big problem. Mid-level risk for him. We could see another 6-point show. They had a crazy stat. It was something like 11 games since he's had 30-plus yards receiving on one catch. That's crazy, man. Why aren't you guys stretching the field anymore in Miami? I don't understand. Mid-level risk for Tyreek. I understand if y'all want to bench him. In some leagues, I don't have a choice. I got to roll with Tyreek as we go. So hopefully he's gets some upside. And Jalen Waddle time. He's dealing with an injury right now on that shoulder. Injury risk on the mid-level. Maybe that does increase a Tyreek Hill as well to generate more targets and more upside. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. Malik Washington, if a Waddle does sit, would get an uptick to a low floor on the mid-level risk as there would be opportunity. And no Darren Waller, so Julian Hill does get the play, but he's a high-level risk on this offense that did not look good, looked absolutely piss poor last week. Minnesota Vikings taking on the Atlanta Falcons. This was supposed to be the Kirk Cousins revenge game on Sunday Night Football, and it is not because Michael Penix Jr. is a starting quarterback. Nevertheless, I digress. J.J. McCarthy started out the gates, sluggish. The game was moving too fast for him, and then he definitely calmed down in that second half. Looked absolutely good to stellar as a rookie. Absolutely finding his wide receivers, finding JJ, taking off and running for touchdowns. Mid-level risk, 23 points, nothing to sneeze at for a rookie in his first start, but it will come back down to earth now with some more game film on this rookie quarterback. So temper the expectations. I'm not playing JJ this week. He does got a mid-level. We're Aaron Jones and a Jordan Mason. This was probably one of the bigger, under the radar signings where we did see a lot of people suggesting they were all in on a Jordan Mason. I was lukewarm on the opportunity and the upside, but I do like what I see from both these gentlemen. Aaron Jones, Aaron Jones caught himself a beautiful touchdown pass, and I think that's kind of what they wanted to do, where Jordan Mason looked so much better running in between the tackles last week. I think that's kind of the MO. Allow, Mason to be the pounder and allow Aaron Jones to be where he excels in the pass game on the outside and in the open space. I think that's kind of what we're going to see in this offense, and it's going to continue. Low-level risk for an Aaron Jones. His role is not going anywhere, and they will get him involved, where a Jordan Mason volume upside in the green, 8 points. We could see some more volume coming his way because he did look that good in the run game, no question. JJ, Justin Jefferson, fire him up ever we got him. Low-level risk, quarterback proof. What else can you say about a JJ? Adam Thielen, target floor on the high-level risk, not touching it. Jalen Naylor, high-level risk as well, not touching it. Where TJ Hawkinson definitely failed us last week, but it was to be kind of expected. I was hoping for, JJ to look in Hawk's direction as that safety blanket a little bit more than what he did. I think he does have a better game this week, but again, the floor is going to be soft until a J.J. McCarthy does get a lot more comfortable with the players on his team. New England Patriots taking on those Miami Dolphins. Drake May, they lost the contest. He got you 16 points, and he looked uneven at times. That's kind of the issue we got right now, trying to understand the system and this offense and get it moving in the right direction, but the upside is definitely here. Low-level risk versus a Miami Dolphins defense that is terrible, and they will be terrible this year. So I'm telling y'all, this is a big-time spot for Drake May to showcase that he is that dude. We heard rumor that Josh Allen's taking Drake May under his wing just a little bit. oh, baby, this could be good news for the New England Patriot fans. I don't like that because he's helping the enemy. But, I mean, Drake May's always been my guy. Low-level risk. Fire up Drake May this week as well. Trevion Henderson, another one of my guys. Low-level risk. I love the usage. Love the upside for Trey. And I do think that they will unleash him this week as well, man. Low-level risk for me. Fire him up. He should do better than the 8 points he got last week. Ramondre Stevenson, Dre, volume floor on the mid-level. They should integrate him more in this offense. 1-2 punch, but they were trying to pass the football quite a bit with Drake May. Get Drake a little bit more comfortable, set up that play-action pass, and you'll be able to find these wide receivers that much better. Stephon Diggs, we can Diggs it. I'm telling y'all, mid-level risk for this guy, 8 points. Coming off the ACL as quick as he did, he still showed some flash, still showed some ability, and he's going to be a great mentor for this wide receiver room and a Drake May. Flex appeal for Stephon Diggs definitely is on tap. Pop, Douglas. PPR floor on the high-level risk. Only thing saving is, Dave, what do you have? 2 catches, -2 yards, and a touchdown? That stat line is insane, and it's incredibly difficult to do. So, Pop, I'm going to sit him down this week, even though there is good upside for this man. When he does get targets, I can't trust it because of a guy like Kayshon Boutte. You like booty? You got a Boutte in a Kayshon Boutte. Good upside. He is dealing with a shoulder injury, but he has suggested, the suggestion is that he is going to suit up. It's nothing, overly to be overly concerned about, I should say. Good upside in the green, and the chemistry, basically, of Drake May and a Boutte has been building since the last 5 games of last season, and they do look good to start this the season here in 2025. Kyle Williams, rookie, boomer bust. We cannot trust it. We're Hunter Henry, mid-level risk. Fire him up everywhere you got him. He's got a good history versus the Miami Dolphins. I do foresee a touchdown coming for a Hunter Henry with a boom game. Definitely coming for this man as well. New Orleans Saints taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Spencer Rattler, high-level risk. We're not touching Rattler this week as well. He played well. He didn't play terribly. He had an opportunity at the end of the game to win the contest, and it was dropped by Juwan Johnson. So you can't criticize Spencer Rattler. He did what he had to do, manage the game. He was able to at least support his wide receivers to lower levels. It's just not good. Great for fantasy football at this point. High-level risk for Spencer Rattler. Alvin Kamara, low-level risk. I want to see much more, man. You got to be you force-feeding Alvin Kamara like you do every single season. Kellen Moore definitely did not do that enough. 12.7 points should have been more like 18 last week. So I do believe they will utilize Alvin Kamara much more this week. Where Kendre Miller, not touching it. CO2, Chris Olave, my guy. Mid-level risk. I think that we can play a Chris Olave enough at the flex to low-end wide receiver 2 numbers. But until Spencer Rattler, feels absolutely comfortable with his game, this is kind of where you're going to be hovering. 7.5 to about 12.5 points for Chris Olave. So you got to take the good with the bad in this one as well. Rashid Shaheed, mid-level risk, but it is more so boom or bust for me. I put him on the mid-level to be fair, but it is basically boom or bust on the mid-level risk. He could get you a big, long touchdown, maybe 2, or he could get you nothing because the target share is not there and they're taking away the deep shot. So that's one of these situations. It is feast or famine for a Rashid Shaheed. Brandon Cooks not touching it. He's definitely looking his age. And Juwan Johnson, fire him up everywhere he got him. The target share for safety blanket appeal is here from Spencer Rattler to Juwan. And every young quarterback should definitely have a binky to throw to, and I think Juwan Johnson is that for a Spencer Rattler. New York Giants taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Russell Wilson looks absolutely cooked. You need to, I think, be sitting on the bench at this point. I can't favor anything that I saw last week from Russ. He's not looking dangerous at all anymore. The career's on the end, man. It's time to give it up. Give it to Jackson Dart. They're playing him again this week. Giants got a, glutton for punishment, I guess. High-level risk for a Russ Wilson. He's killing the rest of this offense because nobody fears the pass game. Stacking the box. Tyrone Tracy, 4.5 points. That's absolute travesty this week, mid-level risk. Versus the Cowboys' run defense that is good. You got to look for better options than Tyrone Tracy. TD upside is the only thing saving this man's day as well. I do not like it whatsoever. Cam Scatterbo. Low floor. I mean, again, it's going to take some time. Got to crawl before you walk. Not playing Scatterbo this week either. We're Malik Neighbors. We saw the frustration on the sidelines to his coach, Brian Daboll. He was screaming at him, telling him, get me the freaking football. Low-level risk. We got to fire up a Neighbors for better or worse because his upside alone, once you get the ball in his hands, he can do the damage himself. Darius Slayton not touching it this week. Or Wandale, he is dealing with a ankle injury. Is questionable. Looking on the trending to start at this week as well. Mid-level risk gave you about 8.5 points. Hopefully we do see Jackson Dart earlier than later because it would be the benefit of this offense. And Theo Johnson, just not enough targets to support yet in fantasy football, even though he is a stellar tight end product. New York Jets taking on my Buffalo Bills. Justin Fields and company. This is exactly what I was saying. And I will admit, I told y'all in Boomer Bust where I said I believe that Garrett Wilson could bust, and I said it was going to bite me, and it did, man. Hopefully you didn't listen to that one because it was the chemistry I knew was going to be good with Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson. It was the Pittsburgh Steelers defense that I was fearful of, and they looked old, man. They looked like they're on a decline just a little bit last week. So it's a trend that we see when we watch Week 1 football. The Steelers still will have a very strong defense, but they look like they are getting on the aging side and not the similar cast they once were. So Justin Fields, low-level risk, rushing upside like we knew with those RPOs. Fire up Justin Fields versus the Bills. At least with no Ed Oliver, there should be able to be holes to be galloped through against his defense. Breece Hall, likewise. Fire him up everywhere he got him. He is playing on a contract year and looking for those dollar bills. Fire up Breece Hall. He typically has good games versus the Buffalo Bills run defense. Braylon Allen, mid-level risk. TDs are going to save his game. Not enough volume to promote yet for a start in fantasy football, but Braylon Allen is that dog, and he eventually will get more carries and more touches. Mid-level risk for me. Garrett Wilson, fire him up everywhere we got him. Can't do it, man. I can't, go for it twice in 2 weeks to suggest to sit the man. I didn't even say sit him. I just said it was going to be a bust. So, I mean, okay, maybe it's a little bit of both. Low-level risk, fire up a Garrett Wilson regardless. Allen Lazard, PPR floor coming off his injury for some reason. He did not play last week, thought he was good to go, was not on the injury report. Very strange that he did sit. PPR floor on the red. He's not on the injury report this week as well, so I think he would be a good secondary option, but not good enough to start. Likewise with Josh Reynolds and Mason Taylor, still dealing with that high ankle sprain that he did have, even though he played last week. He is still on the injury report. Low floor for him. Once he does get healthy, I love the upside of a Mason Taylor. Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Like I said, Super Bowl rematch. Jalen Hurts is low-level risk, man. 24 points. And that's without throwing the football to his wide receivers. It is what it is in Philadelphia. This is why I was staying away from guys like A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. Just the way that this offense does move with Saquon Barkley being the thoroughbred, being the engine, and Jalen Hurts running the football off script the way he did and then vulturing touchdowns like he always does. This is the Philadelphia Eagles offense, man, and you got to get used to it. So Jalen Hurts, fire him up everywhere he got him. Saquon Barkley versus Kansas City Chiefs defense that still is very good at stopping the run. Saquon knows how to break it. Low-level risk, we're obviously playing him. Will Shipley dealing with an injury. That's why they traded for a Tank Bigsby. We could see Bigsby play this week, but again, he's lost standalone value. Shipley was supposed to be that change of pace guy, especially with the hands that he does possess in the PPR upside. We could see Tank being the kick returner this week. That's what they said they were flirting with, so that's very interesting as well. A.J. Brown, I got him on the low-level bounce back. They got to force feed him, right? It has to be the situation where it's like, hey, we got away from him last week, and we're going to have to utilize him once again like we did in the Super Bowl. So fire up an A.J. Brown. You drafted him for a reason, and then if he fails us once again here in week 2, we're going to have to reevaluate come week 3. Likewise with Devontae Smith. Smitty, good upside on the mid-level. Should be much better in the passing upside this week than we saw last week. It is a big contest for these Eagles. For these Chiefs, they're going to go all out, so I think the passing upside will be here for these wide receivers. Jahan Dotson, high-level risk. We can't touch it, can't trust it near enough to be supportive, but 7.4 points. At least his role is expanding in this offense where Dallas Goedert, he is dealing with a knee issue, suggesting that he is going to suit up in this contest. Mid-level risk should give us a very similar stat line like he did last week. Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Aaron Rodgers looked good. New York Post absolutely criticizing, saying, oh, now you want to play because you're on a different team. Fire up an Aaron Rodgers. Still look good enough in this offense. He's able to move the football, and he looks healthy for his age. Is he the same Aaron Rodgers? No, but he still looked good enough. 25 points. You need a quarterback? Aaron Rodgers definitely can be the fill-in for you, man. Caleb Johnson, not enough to play at this point. I thought, for sure they would have at least unleashed him that much more. It did not happen. Minus 0.2 points for this rookie. Get him going. He's better than advertised at this point, where Jaylen Warren finally got his way into the end zone, 12 points last week. I still got a mid-level risk, even though, the Seattle Seahawks defense isn't necessarily great at stopping running backs. I still think mid-level risk. They got to get Caleb Johnson moving to be a better run upside team because they did not look good on the ground last week. DK Metcalf, absolutely fire up this man everywhere he got him. Revenge game versus his former club. DK is going to go off this week. He's going to try to prove it in every way he can possible that he is the guy, and the Seahawks made the mistake. Fire up a DK everywhere he got him. Calvin Austin, boomer bust, continues for me on the mid-level. Until we see higher levels of consistency, I will not trust it. He caught himself a touchdown, 15 points. It's fantastic. I just can't go back to the well and say, oh, he's going to do that again. Let me see it for a couple of weeks, and then we'll decide on how the usage is being spread around from Aaron Rodgers. Roman Wilson, can't trust it either. High-level risk. We're a Pat Freiermuth the Muth. There's a reason Arthur Smith traded for Jonnu, because he doesn't like Pat Freiermuth. So low floor on the high-level risk for the Muth, and Jonnu Smith, PPR upside on the mid-level risk. Arthur Smith traded him for a reason, and this is why we're going to trust it. This is the only thing he knows how to do is throw to Jonnu Smith, apparently. But at least this offense with an Aaron Rodgers does look a little bit better. Fire up Aaron Rodgers everywhere you got him. San Francisco 49ers taking on this New Orleans Saints, the battered and bruised and injured 49ers team. Mac Money Jones is the starting quarterback because Brock Purdy is out with a turf toe injury. George Kittle is on the IR with a hamstring injury, and Juwan Jennings is dealing with a shoulder. He is on the questionable. So Mac Money Jones is your starting quarterback, and ironically enough, this was the quarterback that a Kyle Shanahan wanted to draft in that draft class, and he went after a Trey Lance. So it comes full circle. He got his guy. We'll see what a Mac Money Jones can do. Mid-level risk, we're not playing him this week. Christian McCaffrey, low-level risk. He looked good last week. Took you 18 points. And everyone said, can we trust CMC? I said, he's healthy. We can trust him. People said, fool me once. Shame on me type of deal. I said, if CMC's saying he's healthy, we got to play him. Like I said again this week, they're going to utilize him, even though with a lack of top-end cast of characters, CMC is still the bread and butter. Brian Robinson Jr., I'm losing my voice. As we go right now, mid-level risk, not enough to trust in fantasy as CMC still is very good. Brian Robinson would be one of the premier handcuffs continuing to move forward. Where Ricky Pearsall, low-level risk, fire him up everywhere he got him. He is the only viable, healthy wide receiver on this team at this point. Where Juwan Jennings, injury risk on the high level, I'm not playing it even if he does suit up. We're a MVS, high-level risk, not touching it because I don't even know if Mac Money could go and support it deep. And Jake Tongs is going to be the replacement for a George Kittle. I actually like the upside on the mid-level risk. He found his way into the end zone last week. There is good upside for Mac Money for that safety blanket appeal and potential red zone upside. Seattle Seahawks taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sam Darnold, mid-level risk. He did not look good last week. He looked good in force-feeding a JSN, but Cooper Kupp had some drops. There were some chemistry issues. It's to be expected in week one. Take a breath, understand that. And this is a big test. So I'm going to see how this, like I said, Pittsburgh's defense, they look like they were aging. They look like they were older, this past week. This week, Sam Darnold's got to figure these things out, man. The rush game with a Kenneth Walker III did not look good. Zach Charbonnet looked a lot better than Walker, but get this run game going. Set up that play-action pass for a Sam Darnold, and Cooper Kupp's got to catch the football. If you didn't have all those drops, they would have had prolonged drives, and there was better upside. It looked like they were playing timid, and that's how they lost the contest last week. They played timid the entire game, did not want to make mistakes. Sam Darnold's better than that at this point. He understands the game better than that. Unleash the freaking football, man, and let these guys play. Not playing Sam Darnold this week versus Pittsburgh. Where Kenneth Walker, mid-level risk, Zach Charbonnet, he's got the good upside in the green. I think we can play both these running backs this week as they should start to utilize the ground game versus Steelers as they saw what the New York Jets were able to do to them. JSN, Jack Smith-Njigba, my dude, man, he dominated the target share this past week. Low-level risk, we're firing him up every single week until further notice. Cooper Kupp on the bounce back mid-level. I'm not trusting it to play because Jalen Ramsey is playing that nickel slot more often, so I don't like the play of Cooper Kupp this week as well. So we'll see how it does shake down. Hopefully he does have a bounce back. Got to catch the football. Got to see more targets. I'm just not trusting it in fantasy this week. Torrey Horton, high-level risk. Likewise with an A.J. Barner. You know what I want to say? PPR upside for an Elijah Arrayo. You got to get this man involved. A.J. Barner is a good, safe tight end where Arrayo is kind of that guy you can utilize as your, ground-breaking tight end. Good upside, good athletic ability, good hands. Arrayo's got the PPR upside and the high level. Can't trust it to play this week, but I just wanted to keep eyes on Arrayo. Hopefully he could get some more snaps in this offense and give them something to cheer about. Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Houston Texans, like I said, on Monday Night Football. Big show. Baker Mayfield started out the gates a little sluggish, and then they picked it up in that second half. Baker Mayfield, low-level risk. Fire him up everywhere he got him. Still got you 22 points and looked good down the stretch in that fourth quarter. They just got to put it together from, quarter one to quarter four. And again, week one, it's a lot of tells, a lot of things you're trying to figure out. I think they're going to get back to basics in this contest as well. Fire up a Baker everywhere you got him. Bucky Irving, 12.5 points, was good enough. Saved his day with that touchdown. Low-level risk. Fire him up everywhere you got him. Where Rachaad White, they kind of went away from White quite a bit. Wanted to feature a Bucky. Didn't work out as well as they had anticipated, and I think that's what kind of got him a little bit sluggish. You got to use these guys as a 1-2 punch because that's what made you guys so successful last year. Rachaad White can't play him this week, but I got him on the mid-level PPR floor. Mike Evans, Big Mike, and he did not play as good last week as well. Low-level risk, still firing him up everywhere you got him. We're in Emeka Egbuka. Go look at my scouting reports, man. I do not tell lies. Emeka was my dude. Basically called him a clone of a JSN because that's exactly what he is, but he's got better upside to go down those seams, and he is this good, man. Emeka is one of these dogs, just like a JSN. They are literally clones of each other. Similar speed, similar route trees, similar hands. They're so freaking talented. We can fire up Emeka everywhere you got him, man. Sterling Shepard not touching. Likewise with a Cade Otton. We cannot trust it whatsoever. Last one we got is the Tennessee Titans taking on the LA Rams. Cam Ward, high-level risk. There was so many mistakes, and it's to be expected from a rookie playing against one of the best defenses in the NFL. Tony Pollard on the mid-level risk. We can play Tony Pollard this week, where I said I did not like it last week. To good point levels, I basically won that one as well. A bus game for him, but mid-level risk, you can fire up Tony Pollard this week. Calvin Ridley, I'm going out on a limb this week. I'm going to say it is TD upside on the mid-level. I'm going to play him in some leagues that I do have choices because I do believe a touchdown could be coming for this man this week. It is going to be a boomer bust potential because there were some drops, there were some chemistry issues. I'm going out on a limb, TD upside for Calvin Ridley this week. If you got him, you want to try it, it is up to you. I'm doing it in a couple leagues, man. Tyler Lockett, low floor, not trusting it. Likewise with an A.O. Maynor and a Chig Okonkwo. I do not like it, will not play it this week for these Tennessee Titans. Cam Ward's got to crawl before he walks. But there you have it, that is. Starts it week number 2. We will get these dubs. If you lost last week, we will get these dubs this week. Drop your start sit questions in the comments, and I will definitely get back to y'all. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts, and we'll see you next time. I am